Thanks, Jim, for joining me today. Uh, Everybody that's watching this video, I've got Jim McFadden. He is the CFO with construction company Elder Corporation in Des Moines, Iowa. And we're going to talk a little bit today about using technology in construction, particularly in the finance world. Um, I want to talk with Jim because Elder has really been on the forefront, at least in my view, of technology and the usage of technology throughout their entire company, not just in finance and so forth. So, Jim, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself briefly, and then we'll dive right in.
Thank you, Justine. Jim McFadden, Elder Corporation, been with the company since March of 2008. Worked for another small construction contractor before that, and then public accounting for 6.5 years. When I started, about day 3, Elder president set me aside and said, "Hey, we need to get paperless on our invoices, figure out how we can do that." And I said, "Well, first let me get my handle on the accounting software and the system, and within a year we'll have something picked out." And so took some time to add a few different solutions. We picked up a AP paperless solution where, in my opinion, that really helped on the accounting side. We had an insight then into who had what invoices in their queue, who was sitting on stuff, who was not processing stuff, cost, accumulating for a project that we need to have, or, from a accrual standpoint at month end. So for us, technology has always been a key component. We try not to get really on the cutting edge, the bleeding edge, but more at the cutting edge as far as, finding the right solution, the great solution, and adopting it. Ideally, the ones that integrate the most and the best produces less databases of information to where you're trying to match up and make sure that something's updated and to date. But I would say our estimating software has helped us in that area significantly. So it's been easy to implement, just knowing where the such a breakdown can happen, but it's been easy to use and carry for the last 17 years.
Now, it sounds like, the adoption of technology really has come from the top down, really, with your company owner and so forth, kind of leading that charge and then asking you to kind of take the lead from there. So would you say that it's been a pretty instrumental part of the adoption of technology?
Yeah, it's been easy when you get presented with a solution and you have a pretty good indication of what the boss is going to want you to do, or how the trends are going in construction and what to be looking at and considering and adopting. Long before we were doing electronic bids, he was practicing at home on FPC, on an estimating software where maybe stuff was manually and we were on a typewriter. So he was quick to adopt early before even the company was, and he was instrumental to bring that. So that helps knowing, hey, here's the new solution, here's a new gadget, here's a new widget. This was right up the alley of what is going to make our company successful and tech and integrate well. And so it's easy then to look and say, yeah, we need to include that in our business model.
Now, one last question I have, because I know you guys are very, very field oriented. You self-perform a lot of work, and it takes a team to make it all happen, right? Not just the construction part of it, but also the technology part of it. I know you have a lot of data you guys capture in the field. What advice would you have for companies that are trying to get their field users to adopt technology? Because I would say, as a salesperson, that's one of the biggest challenges for companies is, getting. A lot of people tell me, well, our field folks are never going to, go for this. They won't capture the data that I need, and they'll, give me some pushback on it. Any tips that you have on getting the field folks on board, and really the entire team on board with what the technology can bring?
Yeah, we kind of sense that would be the case with some of our guys too. But in reality, I think those guys were pretty quick to want to adapt it too. We were heavy paper when I first started. We would have guys commute in on a Sunday, 60 miles one way to bring in paperwork, submitting time records, and the ability for them to have a tablet to enter in records, have the equipment and the employee right in the system and allocate their hours, gave them time back. Now, there's a few that were reluctant initially, but we tried to pair people together as kind of a resource to one another, and maybe some of the younger generations that were going to be easy and early adopters to the technology, then maybe they would be a mentor, or the older folks would be a mentor to the younger one. Then, that kind of role reversed. But really, once we introduced it, we brought everybody in. We were very patient, gave them opportunity to look at stuff, test it, and then just supported them through the whole process. There was a few times early on when we were trying to get electronic with our time records and equipment records. I would just go out to the field and I would sit with the foreman and then send it. And then I could show them that, we'd received the information, and then the belief came. And so my suggestion, my thought is you got to be patient. You got to help them understand. About 2 Christmases ago, I tried to buy a iPhone for my mom. She didn't want anything to do with it. Her generation, she just wasn't with it. But we've got a lot of working folks that, can adopt and want to adopt it. And they, when they saw the time that was given them back on the weekends, they were very appreciative of it. So,
yeah, I'm sure commuting 60 miles away for a timesheet sounds, that's pretty dedicated.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I said one last question, but one last question I like to ask, and that is, did you always know you were going to get into construction accounting? Did you always want to do that?
My love for construction I audited contractors across the state. So I would travel, we'd go out and meet with contractors, construction contractors. I love the DOT type setting, bidding environment, and auditing in that environment for a couple of years. It really said, hey, this is what I'd like to do. And so I was pretty selective, and companies that I'd interview with want to try to get out of public accounting for the simple fact that I love the environment. I love kind of what it does and what we do. And I always knew construction would be kind of my thing, construction accounting.
Cool. Yeah, very dynamic. I'm sure no day is really the same, and always very interesting. So,
yeah.
Well, thanks again, Jim. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Bye.